Hello, and welcome to the BMC Quick Course Series Cost Analyzer for zEnterprise Administration Tools. During this course, we will describe how to use the administration tools to set up Cost Analyzer to fit your environment's needs. The following sections will cover the administrative operations which can be done from the Cost Analyzer console. The first section will cover how to access the administration tools. In order to have access to the administration tools, you will need to be a BMC Product Administrator. This designation will depend on your user group assignment. For more information on setting up a Product Administrator, please visit the BMC Cost Analyzer User Guide regarding how to set up user groups. A majority of administrative tasks are completed during the initial setup, but can be modified by an administrator at any time. From Cost Analyzer, in the upper right-hand corner, select Administration Tools. The Administrator Tools menu will appear and include the following selections. Manage CDB Server Profiles, which is the server that manages the Cost Analyzer data. Manage Model Builder Task, which determines how COSI models will be built. Manage IBM Software Contracts. This is where you can specify the duration and parameters for software contract reporting. Configure CPCs. That includes the pricing metrics and PricingPlex. Specify cost coefficient values for the MLC products. View application services and model build log files. And configure Cost Analyzer to work with CompuWare's iStrobe. The first administration tool we will cover is Managing CDB Server Profiles. CDB stands for Capacity Management Database. The CDB server manages data that is used by COSI to build models. During the installation of Cost Analyzer, a CDB server was created with a specific server name and port number. Multiple CDB servers can be defined, specifically for instance if you're migrating from one database to another or you have a backup database for COSI data. Within the Manage CDB Server Profiles dialog, you can add a CDB server, which is creating a new CDB server profile from scratch, modify, which is modifying an existing CDB server profile, and remove, which is deleting a CDB server profile from COSI. Here we'll click on Modify to see the CDB server profile dialog. The CDB server profile dialog contains fields for defining the profile. Starting with the profile name, which can be any unique name to describe the profile. The profile description is optional, but can provide additional detail. The server host name or IP address and port number of the CDB server. If the CDB services are installed on the same machine, then the server host name of localhost can be used. The default port number is always 80. Then you can designate the virtual directory where the CDB services are installed. A username and password can be included in the profile when using a secure IIS server. Finally, test a connection using the Test Connection button to see if a connection can be made based on the profile, and it will display a result. Next, we will discuss the Manage Model Builder tasks. Model Builder tasks build cost models based on the current data in the CDB server. Once defined and scheduled, Model Builder task will generate the models required for software contract reporting, monthly reporting, and planning tools. You can build a variety of models using different settings that will affect the scope of your analysis. In general, if you have multiple CDB servers, then you will have to define multiple Model Builder tasks to run, one for each of them. Each Model Builder task allows you to filter workload types that are to be included in the model. For example, you may want to create one Model Builder task that includes all workloads and another Model Builder task that will include only a select few workloads. From the advanced options, you can exclude LPARS and designate ZNALC LPARS for the model. Within the Manage Model Builder Task actions, you can add a Model Builder task. This is creating a Model Builder task from scratch. Modify an existing Model Builder task. And remove an existing Model Builder task from COSI. Here we'll click on Modify to see the Model Builder task dialog. The model build task dialog includes the following: the task name and description, the workloads that are to be included in the model, the workload filter, which allows you to filter the workloads using workload names, the source CDB server and source CDB database, the time zone offset, which is used to align the timestamps between the COSI model and the SCRT sent in to IBM, and advanced options, which we'll cover in a later section. Looking a little deeper at the time zone offset, the data collected for COSI typically has the GMT time zone timestamp. The time zone offset allows you to align the data to match the timestamp of your SCRT report. Click the time zone offset and select the number of hours needed to align the data. The workload filter can be used to include or exclude workloads using the workload names. This is most typically done for performance reasons, since large numbers of workloads can slow down COSI. Filters can be created for suites, service class, and report class workloads. Enter a list of workload names for the filter using the syntax and comma separation. Here are the advanced options for model builder tasks. ZNALC stands for System Z New Application License Charges and is used by some customers to receive special reduced pricing for LPARS which are running qualified new workloads on the mainframe. COSI lets you identify the LPARS which are ZNALC, so the special pricing can be reflected in the model. The advanced option for excluding LPARS allows you to designate certain LPARS to be excluded from the model and cost calculation. From this dialog, add the LPAR names which you wish to exclude. Some MLC products or price features do not create SMF type 89 records, but can still be included in the Cost Analyzer model. For those products or features, you must use the no89 command to make them known to Cost Analyzer. No89 commands use a specific syntax that includes the product ID, feature code, CPC serial number, and LPAR name. One or more no89 commands can be entered using this dialog. As a side note, no89 commands can be incorporated into the UE extract job that collects SMF data for the model. If the no89 has been included in the UE extract, it will not need to be entered here. Sometimes it is necessary to exclude data from the Cost Analyzer model for a specific time period. For example, if a certain interval had abnormal activity, such as a runaway job, and it impacted the MLC cost, then that interval may be a candidate for exclusion. COSI has the ability to exclude the interval using a specific Exclude 89 command. This command requires the CPC, LPAR name, product ID, and the start and end time for the exclusion. One or more of these commands can be entered in the dialog. Here are those Exclude 89 command parameters in more detail. Lastly, the trace option is used for troubleshooting in that it collects additional information in the COSI log file. It is important to note that turning on trace will dramatically increase the size of the log file and should only be turned on when debugging an issue. Now we'll take a look at creating and managing software contracts. The Manage Software Contracts Administration tool provides you with the ability to define your software contracts. The software contract parameters entered are used by the Software Contract Reporting tool to provide reports that compare your monthly budgets for MLC product costs with actual MSU usage. You can use this administration tool to designate the total amount of contract budgets, define the duration or length of the term of the contract, assign budget allocations to contract periods and period months, and specify events that affect software costs during the contract. Once the Manage Software Contract dialog opens, you are presented with a listing of all the available software contracts which have been defined by Cost Analyzer users. From the dialog, you can add, modify, and remove a software contract. Let's take a look at the Manage Software Contracts dialog by modifying an existing contract. When creating or modifying a contract, you will need to define the contract details. These details are contract name. This is the name assigned to the software contract. Starting month. This is the calendar month and year that the contract begins. Duration specifies the total number of months, which will determine the duration of the contract. You can specify the duration from 12 to 60 months. Budget. This is the total budget of the contract. Months in the first period specifies the number of months in the first period of the contract that you have with IBM. Typically, contracts are divided into yearly periods. Cost table change events specifies any cost table change event should the cost table change over the course of the contract. You will need to add a cost table change event to account for any changes to the pricing structure. If you click on Edit Period Details, a dialog box will open showing the period details. The number of periods is determined by the duration of the contract and the number of months in each period. In this example, we have 2 periods since our duration was 24 months and our first period months equals 12. From here, you can configure each month's budget goals. Next is a CPC configuration editor. After building cost models, Cost Analyzer uses IBM default rules for subcapacity licensing to produce a configuration of your CPCs. The configuration defines the default pricing metric type and PricingPlex grouping for each CPC. You should verify and, if needed, edit the initial configuration so that each CPC has correct values defined. Cost Analyzer uses the most recent cost model to produce the configuration. The configuration can be modeled after running the model builder task for the first time. After the initial configuration, any new CPCs will be added automatically, but any changes to the existing configuration will not be recorded. For instance, you must manually update the configuration of the PricingPlex of a CPC if the pricing metric changes. After selecting the CPC configuration editor, the CPC configuration dialog is displayed. Here you will see the CPC name and description, followed by the pricing metric type. Based on the CPU type and collected data, a default metric pricing type and PricingPlex is selected. From here, you can use the drop-downs to modify the selections. You can also designate a country multiplex pricing or sysplex pricing will be used for the pricing models. If the PricingPlex you are using is not detected, or if you'd like to add one to the model, click the Manage button next to the PricingPlex header. This opens the PricingPlex dialog. You will see the existing PricingPlexes and can add or remove PricingPlex names. Click Accept to save the changes. Back in the CPC configuration editor, the new PricingPlex can now be selected from the drop-down menu. To select country multiplex pricing, use the toggle to enable the functionality. Once toggled on, the dialog will change to the CPC names, and you can select the CPCs to be included in the multiplex. Additional detail about COSI's support for country multiplex can be found in the Additional Topics Quick Course material. Having the correct pricing structure in place is key to determining costs. This can be done with the MSU Cost Editor. This section will describe how to use the MSU Cost Editor to edit your cost coefficients and manage multiple cost tables. You can use the Cost Editor to edit the cost coefficients for each MLC product, create multiple cost tables to model changes or alternative pricing arrangements, set cost tables to be used by the model builder tasks, update and install changes to the product table, and change reporting locales. Upon launching the MSU Cost Editor, the active cost table will be displayed. The MSU Cost Editor lets you edit the model's IBM monthly license charge cost coefficients so that the Cost Analyzer model will reflect actual charges. With COSI, you can create and manage multiple cost tables as needed for your environment. When you create multiple cost tables, one of them must be set as the active cost table. A blank SPRD file cost table is automatically set as the default active cost table. The active cost table will be referenced to build your cost models, but any available cost table can be used when using the planning tool. Some MLC products have subproducts listed within them. This is noted by the triangle icon next to the product name. Clicking the triangle will display the subproducts, each of which can have specific cost coefficients. For any product listed in any pricing structure, the cost coefficients can be edited by simply finding the row with the product name and clicking Edit in the Cost Coefficients column. After clicking Edit, a dialog box displays a cost table showing the MSU ranges and their associated cost coefficients. A separate cost table is available for each pricing metric type. From the Pricing Metric Type drop-down list, click the desired type to view its cost table. To edit the values, simply overtype the current value under the heading Cost Coefficient for the respective MSU range. These values should correspond to your contract with IBM. The pencil icon next to the Pricing Metric Type designation indicates that the cost table has been previously modified. Multiple cost tables can be edited at the same time. To alternate between cost tables, click the Pricing Metric Type drop-down menu and select the next table. Additionally, there are some options for the pricing metrics. To reset the defaults, click the Reset Defaults button, and this will reset all of the current table values to 0. The Scale Cost Coefficients dialog allows you to scale up or down the values in the current table. For example, since IBM typically increases MLC pricing 4 to 7% year over year, this would be an easy way to create a model to anticipate the upcoming increase. According to IBM, enterprises migrating to a newer version of an IBM software product may be required to continue the use of the old version during the transition period. In this situation, single version charge may be permitted, which is license charges will accrue only for the newer version until the transition is complete. If you have a single version arrangement with IBM, you can indicate which MLC products are priced based on single version charge, and the correct pricing will be reflected in the cost models. To set the single version charge in the cost table, click the Edit button under the column heading Single Version Charge. The Edit Single Version Charge dialog lists the current product and provides a drop-down list of the MLC product versions that can be selected. Select the older version of the product covered by single version charge and click Accept. The MSU editor creates a link between the associated versions of the MLC products and populates the link in the single version charge column. Building a cost model after making the change will reflect the single version charge for the product. By default, the pricing metric that is to be used by Cost Analyzer models is selected based on collected CPC information. To select an alternate pricing metric to be used, locate the Pricing Metric Override column and select the desired pricing metric. The reporting locale setting controls how your reports format monetary units, decimal numbers, dates, and times. If the reporting locale setting is not correct, click the button labeled Reporting Locale Settings at the bottom of the editor. The pop-up will display all the available reporting locales, then you can choose the correct location for your site. A side note, however, is that changing the locale will not convert currency values. The MSU Cost Editor also allows you to create and manage multiple cost tables. As mentioned before, Cost Analyzer has one active cost table and the rest can be selected at appropriate times. The active cost table is indicated by the green check mark next to the table name. With the MSU editor open, you can open existing cost tables, create new cost tables, delete cost tables, modify cost coefficients by a percentage, and use the CMP base factor estimator. To open a cost table from the MSU Cost Editor, simply click the Open Cost Table button. The Open Cost Table dialog is displayed listing all of the existing cost tables. From the list of existing cost tables, select the cost table you want to open and then click Open Cost Table. Cost Analyzer will open and display the cost table in the MSU Cost Editor. To create a cost table, click on the Create Cost Table button. In the dialog, enter a unique name and description for the new cost table. The new cost table can be created from scratch or modeled based on an existing one. From the list of cost tables, select either New Cost Table to create the table from scratch, or select an existing cost table to create a clone of that cost table. The clone can then be modified as needed. Cost Analyzer will then create and display the cost table in the MSU Cost Editor. To delete a cost table, simply click the Delete Cost Table button and select one or more cost tables to get rid of. You can quickly adjust the cost coefficients by a percentage using the Modify Cost Coefficients button. Clicking the button will display a grouping of MLC products and pricing metric types. Select the products and/or pricing metrics types to modify, then type in the percentage you wish to increase or decrease the selections by. Lastly, the CMP base factor estimator is used to estimate the MLC base and base factor for country multiplex pricing. This function is covered in detail in the Additional Topics Quick course. Now we'll have a look at the Application Server Log Viewer. The Application Server for Cost Analyzer produces log files about the system's operation. These files are often used as part of problem diagnosis either by you or BMC support. Within the Application Server Log, there are various log file types. MLC Contract Build Logs, which is information on the MLC contract models. Model Build Logs, information about the model build tasks. Model Build Event Logs, which is information about model build event processes. Service Event Logs, information about the product's core services. RBA Audit Logs, information about the role-based access audit. And Audit Logs, information on all the transactions associated with the product's web services. The headings at the top of the viewer allow you to select the log type you wish to view. Within each log type are events that occurred relating to that type. The events have an associated timestamp and an indicator of the status. A red X means an error. A green check indicates normal function. To refresh the information displayed, click the Reload Contents from the Application Server button. This will read in any new messages from the application server. Lastly, we will discuss the iStrobe configuration tool. Cost Analyzer can be configured to launch the CompuWare iStrobe web-based application from any monthly summary report to obtain additional metrics about the selected LPAR and time range. The iStrobe metrics offer additional details about CPU consumption and factors contributing to the 4-hour rolling average peak. The integration is enabled by the iStrobe configuration tool, which can be accessed in the administration tools. Once the configuration is complete, Cost Analyzer will become iStrobe aware and provide features and functions in the monthly reporting tool to launch iStrobe. To set up the integration, you will need to know the server and port number that are associated with the CompuWare iStrobe at your site. The default web location URL is indicated on this screen. After entering the iStrobe web location, you can click the Verify button to confirm that the URL has been entered correctly. If the connection is successful, the iStrobe application will open. If not, check to make sure that the server and port number information are correct.